In the last episode, we looked at how Christians are given permission to defend themselves, their families, and the lives of innocent people, and how, as a last resort, that defense, under very limited and certain circumstances, can even extend to the use of lethal force. So this frees up Christians, for example, to be police officers who may need to kill to protect the innocent, to join the armed forces who may need to do the same. It frees up Christians to not be bystanders when there are terrorists on the loose running around killing people on the streets, but to take action and to intervene in those situations and to protect the innocent. And it also gives Christians permission to protect their home and their families, amongst other things. We looked at a passage from Exodus to make that point. But many people would say, hang on a second, doesn't it also say in Exodus, namely the 10 commandments, do not kill? So isn't this a contradiction here? And the answer to that is no. The Bible does not say do not kill. That is not in the 10 commandments. That's not what the 6th commandment says. It's sometimes mistranslated that way, but to get to the original Hebrew meaning of the 6th commandment, it actually says do not murder. And there's a difference between killing and murder. This shouldn't be alien to us. This should be very familiar to us, because this is something that our modern legal systems still acknowledge and recognize, that there's a difference between killing and murder. Murder is defined in English common law as the intentional, premeditated killing of another human being with malice. If you're motivated by malice and you thought about it, if it was intentional, then it counts as murder. However, our legal systems do create space for acceptable and justified forms of killing. Killing is considered justified by our modern legal system if one of these conditions are met. Firstly, if the killing is accidental. Secondly, if a person is trying to defend him or herself and prevent his or her own murder, i.e. self-defense. Thirdly, if a person is trying to prevent someone from entering his or her house to commit some violent felony. And fourthly, if a person is trying to prevent the murder of someone else, that is protecting an innocent. In all of these situations, if any of these conditions are met, one or more of these conditions are met, killing is considered by our modern legal system to be justified, and there's an acknowledgement that lethal force is sometimes necessary for a greater good. Now, the legal systems in the English-speaking world are founded upon something called English common law. And English common law, in turn, was founded upon the Bible. The Bible is the foundation for all of our ideas about these things. The Bible is the foundation of our current legal systems in the English-speaking world, at least. So our modern legal system says that if the killing is accidental, the person is not guilty of murder. Well, that idea comes to us directly from the Bible. The Bible is the foundation of that law. In Exodus it says, anyone who strikes a person with a fatal blow is to be put to death. However, if it is not done intentionally, but God lets it happen, they are to flee to a place I will designate. There's also this passage in Numbers. But suppose someone pushes another person without having shown previous hostility, or throws something that unintentionally hits another person, or accidentally drops a huge stone on someone, though they were not enemies, and the person dies. If this should happen, the community must follow these regulations in making a judgment between the slayer and the avenger, the victim's nearest relative. The community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. So our modern ideas about this are rooted in the Bible. Where our legal system says it's justified to kill someone in self-defense to stop your own murder, or to stop someone entering your home with evil intentions, maybe to murder your family, that is rooted in the Bible too, as we explored in the last episode. In fact, the Bible says if a thief is caught in the act of breaking into a house and is struck and killed in the process, the person who killed the thief is not guilty of murder. Our modern ideas about these things are rooted in the Bible. That's where our modern laws come from. And where our legal system says killing someone to protect an innocent is justified, that idea comes from the Bible as well. In Exodus 2, Moses kills an Egyptian soldier to protect the life of a slave who he was beating. And in Genesis 14, Abraham's nephew Lot, along with some others, are kidnapped and taken captive by some invaders. So Abraham assembles an army of 318 men to go after them to rescue the hostages. And in the process of that operation, they killed the terrorists. Both Moses and Abraham were considered justified in this action because they were rescuing and protecting the lives of innocent people. So all our modern ideas about this are rooted in the Bible, and therefore there should really be no confusion about this, because we still live by the same value system today. Our legal systems are still built upon these ideas. Murder, that is the intentional premeditated killing of another person with malice, that is always condemned in the Bible. That's what the sixth commandment is saying. Do not murder. It is never allowed. And our modern legal systems keep to that same principle today. However, the Bible says that if a killing is accidental, if it's done in self-defense to protect your own life, if it's done while protecting one's own home and your family's lives, or if it's done to protect the lives of the innocent, it's justified for the greater good. And again, because English common law is built upon the Bible, our modern legal systems make the same allowances. It makes exactly the same distinction. The Bible is not contradicting itself when it says do not murder, but here are some very limited and specific circumstances where killing can be justified. The difference between legal and illegal killing really just comes down to motive, intent, and justification. But to finish, I think because this is such a dangerous topic and it's very important there is no misunderstanding or miscommunication here, I would just like to echo what I said in the last video, which is that Christians should try to avoid violence altogether, and every possible effort should be made to resolve situations peacefully. If there is an option to de-escalate and resolve a situation peacefully and you choose violence, God holds you guilty for that. Violence should only ever be an absolute last resort. And in many cases, in fact, it's not an option at all.